Welcome to Turf Talk, Belmont Stakes and Triple Crown Wrap-Up Edition. I'm Ed DeRosa alongside Ron Flatter, who is with us at the Derby. I missed the Preakness, but we're both here, and we saw a great race.
We did, and if you look back on how this whole thing was set up by the WinStar team, I was joking earlier in the week with some of the other journalists here. Did you go to the Arkansas Derby, I asked them, and they said, well, no, and I go, well, you're about to.
Yeah.
And little did I know, I wish I'd have followed my own advice there and put a little more money on Creator, or any money on Creator, but once Gettysburg was put in this race as a rabbit, it set everything up perfectly for Creator. Yeah, by just a nose, but it got the job done.
Yeah, it sure did, and the only one who didn't show up, I'd say, was Sudden Breaking News, who actually did take a lot of the money from the Arkansas, nine years included. I was bearish on the Arkansas Derby. Creator proved me wrong. One horse that you and I have been following, you had the Story Derby week with the Japanese and Lonnie, 9th, 5th, 3rd here in the Belmont, and it seems like he's the type of horse American fans want to see more of.
Yeah, and I wonder if we will. Lonnie, of course, winning the UAE Derby to get into the Triple Crown mix, and there was a lot of skepticism about him. I always said that he wasn't going to take any of my money, and he didn't, but certainly acquitted himself well. I wonder if he's the sort of horse that just as a stayer would maybe go 2 miles, maybe go back to the turf where he began his career. Maybe that's the spot for him. But yeah, I would say if there's a story coming out of this race from the also-rans, it was him.
Yeah, and to me, Rod Ortiz wins on Creator. We haven't seen Lonnie on an American track with an American jockey. That would be maybe something that would change things up even at a shorter distance. Certainly the longer ones seem up to his capabilities given his training. Sandwich between the winner and third place finisher was Destin. 8-week layoff into the Derby, 5 weeks into here. I have to wonder what if. I think he's a tremendous talent. He did the dirty work behind Gettysburg and just missed.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's just the case of the 1.5 miles coming to get him, or if any other series of this might have gotten him over the line. But you kind of wonder if he hadn't had that layoff, if he had maybe 1.8 miles in him coming out of his prep races into the Derby as opposed to coming out of the Tampa Bay Derby. A lot of the ifs there, but yeah, certainly there's an upside to him that we're going to be able to see during the summer.
Yep, and I think speaking of upside, Governor Malibu, a decent fourth. I mean, didn't set the world on fire, but shows the Peter Pan form might be okay. Unified is a horse people are excited about. The player who's at Churchill Downs, the easy-goer winner today, Economic Model. So still some 3-year-olds to hear from. But I'd say at this point, Nyquist is still the leader with the Kentucky Derby and Florida Derby wins.
Oh, absolutely. And until Exaggerator and Nyquist meet again, look, Nyquist is still 4 for 5 against Exaggerator, and the only exception was on a wet track. So you look at that. You also look at Exaggerator being pulled up 11th. We just saw a case of him being too forwardly placed early, too much horse coming out early, and just ran out of it over the 1.5 miles.
Yep, and they ran out of time with the rain, came after the race, but based on how we ran and what Kent said, he was just out of horse. I don't think the slop would have made a difference today.
No, and I wonder, and that's the intriguing question, if the race had started 5 minutes later, if NBC had gone to its normal broadcast window where they actually would have closed the telecast at 7:15 instead of 7, the race might have gone off in the rain or right after it, and I wonder how it might have been different. I don't think Exaggerator necessarily would have won, but I do wonder if the more forwardly placed horses might have been able to get the job done. Maybe Destin somehow would have gotten there, and who knows, I mean, it would have been a whole different scenario, but that's, what's the old thing about ifs and buts and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's racing is how I always sum it up, and saw a great race today. I would anticipate that Creator, given the connections, probably the Haskell or Jim Dandy, Bobby Flay, a New Jersey, New York guy. WinStar loves to win the big races, and hopefully we'll see more than a few of them in the Travers.
Absolutely, and maybe Nyquist comes back, and so we might get that matchup of the 3 winners at the Travers. Cross our fingers. Of course, we're suggesting an awful lot with so much time between now and then, but it certainly does make for an intriguing 3-year-old campaign yet to come. I think you're right. Nyquist is still the one to beat to be 3-year-old of the year, but I think the door's wide open for him to get together.
All right, and I'd be remiss running out of time, but have to point out, speaking of showdowns down the road, Frosted certainly served notice. The California Chrome and Beholder. Now, whether he goes to the 1 1/4 Classic, who knows? Certainly the best performance of the year so far.
Oh, yeah, 14 1/4 length victory today in the Met Mile. And when you look at that, I mean, my first thought was, can you imagine if American Pharoah were running at 4? What might have happened in this race if he were there?
Yeah.
And how much, I mean, it amazed me, Frosta being able to come back as strong as he did. And so that's a very attractive forward move as far as the rest of the season is for him.
Yep. All right. Well, hopefully we'll see all of them at the Breeders' Cup. Flintshire looked good. Teppins at Royal Ascot next week. Hopefully we'll see her. Hopefully we'll see you do a few more of these videos. You had some great copy as well, and hopefully we'll see you in Saratoga with some stuff there too.
With any luck.
All right. Well, replays also on our channel. Check those out. We'll be back in the office with On Point and Turf Talk next week. Stephen Foster, Ohio Derby. Lots of good stuff coming up. Join us then.